Hello, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful sponsor webinar. I am here with Leanne Janzen of FriesenPress, and this is self-publishing and working with a service provider. I know that Leanne has got some great information for us. I cannot wait to hear what she has to say and share with us all. I'm going to give a little bit of a bio so you guys know a little bit more about her, and then I'm going to turn it over to her. So, starting her journey in the publishing world, Leanne Janzen began working as a publishing specialist, guiding authors through the self publishing process with care and attention. Her ability to form relationships and desire to continually improve and learn led her to the University of Winnipeg. There, Leanne completed leadership training shortly before transitioning to her new role with FriesenPress and now leads the sales team and so much more. Her passion for educating others on the current publishing landscape and the benefits of self publishing led her to launching a successful speaking program at FriesenPress, where she and her team present to organizations and groups around North America. When she's not keeping busy with her children and dogs, there are three of both. Love that. You can find her on the beach with a good book and a glass of wine in hand. Sounds like we could hang out, Leanne. Thank you
It,
for being with us.
yeah, thank you for having me. And yes, a beach and a glass of wine. That's where you can catch me. Um, Hello, everybody, and thanks so much. Joy has told me that everyone can see my screen, so I can tend to ramble, so we can kind of just jump in. There is a Q&A box, so if you have questions along the way, you can pop them in there. I will be keeping an eye on it. Might answer some as we go through, but I'll also try to leave as much time at the end so that I can go through any questions there as well. Um, and yes, thank you. As Joy mentioned, I'm Leanne. So I have been working in the industry now for just about 5 years. And as Joy said, I started as a publishing specialist with FriesenPress. And doing that role, essentially, I was a project manager who got to work one-on-one with authors. So, and excuse me, I got a little throat tickle today. And being able to have that one-on-one experience with authors was really fantastic because I had the opportunity to learn so much about what authors know and more importantly, what they do not know when they're going into their journey and trying to figure out what to do next and things like that. And so because I got that firsthand experience, um, I became really passionate about, hey, let's talk to our authors, let's talk to authors and writers as early in the process as we can. And so our speaking engagement program kind of came to life just over 3 years ago, and me and my team have been running it. This is our third solid year. We're going into our fourth. So I'm really excited. And this is my second year at WIP. So thank you for having me back again. Today we're going to talk about self-publishing. We're going to talk about what self-publishing is, the benefits to self-publishing. We're going to talk about the life cycle of a book project when using a service provider. And we're going to talk a little bit about prepping for publication as well. Um, do, do, do. And remember, if you have questions along the way, yeah, oh, Joy's all over it. Pop them into the Q&A. I will see them and either along the way or at the end. So just to start, what is self-publishing? There's so many options nowadays, and so I find it really important to start here because historically there's self-publishing and traditional publishing. Now there's hybrid models. Now there's more options, and so when we're looking at self-publishing, I really like to highlight how important it is that you know who you're talking to and what model of publishing they're talking about. And so when we look at self-publishing, self-publishing is the publication of your work, typically written, of course, by the author at your own expense. Self-publishing means that you are paying for the production of your publication on your own or through grants or crowdfunding, if that's something that you're going to do. But it is not, the costs are not split. So if there's a company splitting the costs with you, that's more than likely a hybrid model or if the costs are covered for you, that's traditional. So this is where the author is responsible for 100% of those um, investment costs. It also means more freedom for you. You get to work at your own pace and you have the ability to choose the people that you work with. So you get to choose whether you choose to work with a service provider like FriesenPress or others in the world. You get to choose to work with that service provider. Or on the other hand, you also get the ability to choose your own individual service providers. So if you have a specific editor you want to work with, a specific cover designer, specific layout and format specialist, you have the ability to choose that for yourself. It also means that you get to maintain your ownership and copyright and your royalties. And that is one of the biggest distinguishing factors there is if if you're splitting expenses or all of your expenses are being covered with other avenues, it's very likely you're not maintaining all of your content ownership or 100% of your net royalties. And I say net royalties, not full profit. So keep that in mind too. So 100% of your net royalties. We are not, Sandy, great question. We are a service provider for self-publishing authors. We are not a hybrid publishing company. So, meaning all of our services, if you come in and you're having editing and either just editing or you're coming and doing the whole kit and caboodle with us, those expenses are on the author to pay. We don't split those. So, yeah. Great question, though, and good because you should always know who you're talking to. The benefits of self-publishing, there are benefits to every avenue. So what you really need to do is just know what your benefits, risks, limitations are with all of them and choose the best path for you. The biggest part of self-publishing is that there's no requirement for a literary agent. You aren't querying agents who are then querying publishers. You are making the decision to self-publish, and there aren't those additional barriers in the way. As we talked about before, you maintain full creative and content control. At the end of the day, your cover designer, your editor, someone who's helping you price the book, they're all going to have recommendations for you, but at the end of the day, everything is under your control. It is self-publishing. My favorite part of the benefits of self-publishing is higher royalties. You get to set your book pricing and have more control over that royalty amount for your books. There's also more options with royalties when you go the self-publishing route in terms of your different, and I won't get into the nitty-gritty today. I'm around for questions after or before or later or anytime. But you have more options with royalties because you get to choose the discount you're going to use with a wholesaler. You have the ability to do more direct author selling and consignment and things like that. So higher royalties, faster time to market, which is one of the biggest deciding factors, I think, in addition to budget when you're looking at self-publishing. Traditional publishing, as many people know, can take years to go through the entire process and get to the finish line. When you're self-publishing, you have a lot of control over how fast you get to market. So, especially this day and age where we have fads or very topical genres moving through, I'm just going to use romantasy as an example. So you might be writing a romantasy book, and right now romantasy is huge. It is blowing up. It is everywhere on Book Talk and everything. And if you were going the traditional route, it might take you a few years to get to that finish line, if at all, versus it could take you 6 months if you went the self-publishing route. And for areas where we're in like that, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road by the time you get to publication, that the world has kind of moved on to a new favorite genre. Uh, and so faster time to market is really, really important depending on what you're writing about. You have more options for availability. There's print on demand options through online platforms, bookstores. You can get into physical bookstores, and you have author direct pricing, which is where you get to purchase copies of your own book at the cost to print and ship them to you. And then you can do those books are yours. You can sell them to make a higher profit. You can give them away. You have that ability to always have books on hand. And again, I cover this a lot all the time. Full ownership of your content and your copyright. Always. If there's an agreement or a contract you're looking at that does not uh, state full ownership, you're not self-publishing. So make sure that you take a peek at that. A quick overview of the differences, a couple of the differences between DIY self-publishing and using a service provider. So DIY or do-it-yourself self-publishing is authors learning all of the skills that they can and then hiring freelancers for the rest. So we can't all learn to edit. So, you might hire your editor, but learn how to use InDesign to make your cover, or you learn the things that you can and you're hiring professionals for the rest on an individual basis, not necessarily as a group. Um, you're producing the book in its entirety on your own. You're responsible for that whole process. And you are, unless you hire a PR company or an author assistant or something like that, developing and executing your marketing strategies are on you as the author. The benefits that, of course, full creative control. Everything is yours to decide. There is nobody there. On the downside, there's also nobody there necessarily guiding the way, which can be really difficult. And your final decision making over your team, editors, designers, illustrators, if it's a kid's book, that is completely yours. Of course, again, the drawback to offset that is you are managing every single aspect yourself, which for type A's like me might be a great thing. But especially the first time around, there's so much information out there that can be a big drawback your first time through, because what's real information, what's not, and having someone to guide you is really, really lovely. When you're working with a service provider, you're searching for the most suitable service provider. So you're looking at Google reviews, BBB ratings, how many complaints they've had, how many have been resolved on BBB, and you're speaking to that company, you're talking to those consultants, you're finding a company that aligns with you and what you want for your book, and in a lot of cases, what aligns with you ethically as well. From there, once you've chosen, you're working with a professionally pre-vetted team. So you have pre-vetted and pre-interviewed, and in the case of editors, pre-examined editors, illustrators, designers. The team is there. They're all pre-vetted. They're all pre-interviewed. They're all professional. So all of that vetting and interviewing is off of your shoulders because that company has already done that for you. Additionally, lots of service providers have book marketing and promotion specialists who can help you develop your marketing strategy and coach you on how to execute it. So that's a really big thing. I can see a marketing question in there. So having that support to get to create that marketing strategy, but also guidance on how to execute it is I say essential, and it is, unless you already have that skill yourself. Benefits, of course, still full creative control. At the end of the day, this is still your baby. This is still your project, and it is yours to run with. Lots of involvement in the entire process. You are paired with a publishing team. So you have a publishing specialist, which is what I had talked about earlier, which is what I used to do, which is essentially your project manager. You have that person who's working one-on-one with you. They're coordinating with your editor. They're coordinating with your cover designer. When your layout comes back, they're reviewing it before they send it to you. And then they're supporting you with going through and requesting changes you want to see. You have somebody there who is you communicate with that one person who then does everything and organizes everything else for you. They're also going to help you with pricing your book and all of that stuff too. Um, Using a service provider, of course, the drawback to that is that there are funds for publication up front. Whereas, if you were do it yourselfing, self-publishing, you would kind of pay as you go. So, okay, I'm going to pay my editor here, I'm going to pay my designer here, I'm going to pay this here. When you work with a service provider, the paths and services that you decide are the right fit for you with your consultant, we create kind of a package for you to encompass those. And so the funds for that are due up front so that we can just get rolling. We can just send your manuscript to the editor and get you in with the next steps. I'd say also another benefit that I don't have on here to working with a service provider is the ongoing support, even after publication. You always have access to your publishing specialist and their working team. And because the industry is constantly evolving, constantly changing, service providers we're in this industry every single day. When there are big changes, sometimes announcements don't come out about those changes, especially with certain retail platforms. They might make a big change and not tell anyone about it, and they just wait for everyone to scramble and catch up. Working with a service provider is really an asset because when those changes aren't announced, we have the ability to find them very quickly because we're looking at your book listing not specifically yours, but we're looking at book listings and distribution changes and everything every single day. So where it might take someone who, uploaded straight to KDP a month or two to notice something is off with their listing, we can notify our authors of changes as they're happening because we're in there every single day. So that's another big benefit with using a service provider is that post-publication support is you still have that publishing specialist. You still have the ability to reach out and ask questions. You have support with book orders. If you get an order of books and maybe two of them are damaged, you have someone to reach out to who's going to support you with those things. And that's all post publication. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that's missing in the publication world is if you go straight to KDP, where's your post publication support, right? So this is a nice little perk too, is you just always have access to the team. So I tend to ramble, so we got to motor through. Life cycle of a book. So this life cycle, I will PSA, is based off of our life cycle when you're working with FriesenPress. I know that most, if not all, of the service providers out there follow a very similar, if not exact same cycle, but I'm going to go through each stage with you and just kind of outline what happens at each stage and what it includes. So all the way from consultation to promotional coaching. So let's just jump in. So consultation. So this is where my team is. The consultation phase is with my team. And so if you just call us or email us and say, I've got a book, what do I do with it? You're going to talk to my team first. And my team, we are going to set up time to speak with you. You're going to talk one-on-one with a publishing consultant who knows all of our services, all of our options, creative solutions, all of those things. They're going to talk to you about your project, learn what's been done already, what hasn't been done already, what your wants are for your project, what your needs are for your project. And they're going to talk to you about your budget and how much you're working with and try to get your needs at the very least aligned with your budget and also squeeze in some of those wants as well. And so that's really the first step is we want to know everything we can about you and your book so we can guide you on what's going to come next and what that's going to look like for you. The consultant is also going to help you set up your payments. And to answer Shelly there, you betcha we have payment plan options. So we do have payment plan options, absolutely. And that consultant's going to talk to you about, like I said, what your budget is, and if you require a payment plan, what that needs to look like for you. so we can get that all set up. From there, once you say, yes, all good, green light, let's publish. um, you're welcome, Shelley. um, you're going to go into what we call pre-production, which essentially is just, okay, we've decided we're moving forward. Let's get everything ready. So we're going to send during the pre-production stage, we're going to get your account set up. We're going to get you access to your account center, which is kind of essentially think of it as a dashboard or a back office where you get to see everything that's going on. Your book sales will eventually be there. Any edits or new files, you have access to everything in that account center. So we're going to get that set up for you. We're going to get your manuscript off to an editor for an initial evaluation. We do that with every book. It's non-negotiable. um, if you have images to submit, we're going to say, okay, submit those images. Let's get those up. And just it's general organization of getting everything ready so that we can jumpstart the production and then get you off and running with your publishing specialist. So in production, like I mentioned, you have a dedicated publishing specialist. In production is where your editing happens, your cover design, your layout, revisions to your layout. And I consider production everything right to, okay, final approval of your book. Let's talk about book pricing now. So that publishing specialist is going to take you through that whole thing. They're going to take you through everything. They're going to make sure the boxes that need to get checked along the way get checked along the way so that you're not all the way at print files and go, oh my gosh, we forgot to do this way back here at the beginning. So we have that professional working with you along the way. That book publishing specialist is also going to review book pricing with you, offer recommendations, and they're the ones who are going to coordinate with our distribution team, getting your bookstore set up with our distribution partners. Ingram being one of our main partners. And we also have, if anyone wants to check it out, plugging, we also have our own FriesenPress bookstore as well, which is where we, anyone who's currently in publication or in distribution that's worked with us is up on our website. So you can always just type in FriesenPress bookstore. It'll take you right there. And it's a great bookstore. We have staff picks and bestsellers and all that kind of stuff. Distribution also means book printing. That's the stage where you're also going to hit book printing. So POD, so print on demand, is set up through, that Ingram. We have printing options on both sides of our border now, both in Canada and the US to make sure, right now it's not an issue and it hasn't been, but if the world decides tomorrow that there's tariffs, we've got you covered. There's printing options on both sides. And so the smaller print runs, so you have the ability, like I spoke about earlier, to order your own books. So smaller print ones we do with our print on demand printers. You also have access with working with FriesenPress to Friesen's Corporation, which is the biggest printer in North America. Don't quote me on this, but I believe we just had our 118th anniversary, so it is not a new establishment. They do tons of printing for the big five, or I guess it's not five anymore. Anyways, the traditional publishers, they do all the printing there. And you have the ability to do customized print runs for your author books as well. So if you want, to order 100 books with foil covers or 500 books for a special event with sprayed edges, you also have the ability and access to that, which is something unique about FriesenPress. So keep that in mind as well. Then once we've gone through that and we're like, okay, all systems go, you're into distribution. That's where you're going to start. If you've opted in to take advantage of any promotional coaching or marketing support, that's when we're going to get you started with your promotional specialist. So they're going to help you if you don't have a website already and you want a website, they're going to help you create your website and coach you on how to maintain it and update it and things like that. They're going to help you with a book promotion plan. So what are your goals? Where do you want to be? And we're going to help you create a plan to get there and coach you on how to execute that plan. We also have social media coaching. So we can help you set up a social media account to where your target market is located. And in regards to social media, we not only do we coach you on how to update and maintain it, we also have content planning services, which is also something that's unique about FriesenPress. So service providers won't do the promotion and marketing of the book for you, but they will coach you and help you. But one of our newer services is that we will, or we can, create a content calendar for you. So we can create you based off your goals and whatever platform you're focusing on, or multiple platforms. We can create, a little bit of plug and play content for you to say, okay, on Tuesday, go to a coffee shop, take a picture of this. Here's what you're going to say. Here are the hashtags that are in currently hot on this platform. You can tell I'm not a promotion specialist because I just used the word hot. But anyways, um, we can also help with that. So that services. And we also, if you're building an author brand, which is so important for serious authors, we also have the ability to create you branded marketing materials. So business cards, bookmarks, stickers. If you're going to be doing lots of events, we can create banner stands for you, all kinds of stuff there to make sure that all of your marketing materials are branded the same and easily identifiable with your book. So, yes. I will get to those two questions after, I promise, Nina, and a beer. um, and yeah, that's kind of where we go. It seems like it's really fast. It is a process. Publishing can take anywhere from, depending on services, depending on editing, depending on, how many revisions you need for your layout to get it exactly the way you want it. It can take anywhere from 3 months to 12 months. And it can be a bit of time, but it's most certainly faster than traditional publishing. So if time to market is a concern for you, self-publishing is definitely the route to look at. Preparing for publication. So when you're using a service provider, you want to make sure that all of your text is in a Word document, preferably Microsoft Word. LibreOffice is also a great free version to use there. Unfortunately, a lot of design software still isn't compatible with some Apple products. So Pages has a bit of a tough time getting into some design software. So if you wrote your book in Pages, no biggie, just save as a docx file. So we need docx files, high resolution images. And so depending if your book is going to have images or not, you want to make sure that they are the highest resolution possible at the size you want them printed in the book. And so if you're doing a kid's book, of course, illustrators can create high resolution illustrations at any trim size to make sure that it's going to be compatible and fit in. But there is also other things to consider. If you're writing a memoir and some of your pictures are from the 50s, your highest resolution is going to be very grainy, and there's nothing you can do about that. So the highest resolution possible, also considering what your book is about. You also want to consider, before you start the actual publishing process, having peer review, especially if it's a professional book, like a textbook or a science book, or something that's going to be citing lots of facts. You want to make sure you have that peer review or beta readers done before you start the editing process, because you might go through the editing process, and then if you get to a beta reader who makes a really good point about something that you and your editor didn't flag, it might cause you to change a whole bunch of stuff in your book. So try to have those done first. If there's anything in your book that prompts you to think you need to seek copyright advice, always speak to a copyright professional. Editors can flag anything that's blatantly obvious as a copyright infringement or things like that, but they're not a legal professional when it comes to that. So if there's anything, if you're using real names in a book um, or you're citing material and you're not sure if you can, or fair use versus not fair use, and if you're not sure, consult a professional. And just with that peer review, like we talked about, fact checking. Editing also is not fact checking. So some levels of editing, so developmental or contextual editing, might come with some light factual clarifications. Like it might come up and be like, oh, hey, so like actually this war was in this year, or you things like that. But it's not a deep editing is not a deep dive into your facts. So if you have a historical book or a science-based book, and you want to make sure everything you're saying is factual, come in with that stuff fact checked already. Um, yeah, okay. Next up, choosing your publishing partner. So this part is so important. And I say this because we talk to hundreds of authors every month. And we want to make sure that not only are our authors excited to work, like, not only are we excited to work with our authors, but our authors are excited to work with us. And so it's so important to check reviews, always keeping an open mind, because not everyone's experience with every company is the same. Any company you look up online is going to have one or two bad reviews because somebody didn't read a service agreement or, something like that. So always within reason, but check the Google reviews. How is the company responding to negative and positive Google reviews? Check the Better Business Bureau. How many complaints have they had? And I think that the BBB separates them out by 1 year and 3 years. So how many complaints have they had? How many have they responded to? You can also, if you're able to, anyone who's published with FriesenPress, their books up on the website. You can type FriesenPress into Amazon or Indigo or Barnes and Noble, and books that have used us will show up. And you might have the ability from there to reach out to an author who used us, and you can ask them about it. How was it? Something that, and even thinking like something that was super great for them, you might go, ooh, I don't want that. Or something that was, oh, this wasn't my favorite, you might go, oh, I'd love that actually. So ask them about it. How was it? Give me some details. And always make sure that you read the company's contracts or service agreements thoroughly. Always. I can tell you that looking at any company online, most negative reviews stem from folks not reading service agreements. And I'm not talking about just us. I'm talking about any company you look up online. So many reviews you can point to say, oh, that was part of, so-and-so service agreement. So you can see that they didn't read it. So it was a surprise and it upset them. So make sure you read it. Make sure you ask questions. And always ask about a public version of the service agreement. There should be no red tape for you to see your service agreement. There are some situations that move really quickly and you get through and you're like, okay, this. All right, here's my service agreement. Okay, signed it, da 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 da. But for authors who are very for authors who want to be very informed, every company should have a public version of their service agreement available, and there shouldn't be any red tape for you to see that. So if you were to email any one of my consultants to say, hey, can I see a copy of your service agreement? Any of us would be able to send you a link and you can see it online. And that's how easy it should be with anybody. It won't always just be supplied, but if you ask for it, should be there. And if they don't have a service agreement or contract, don't work with them. PSA. A few of our genres that we work on. So one thing about self-publishing is there isn't a lot of restrictiveness to what genres you can work on. Here's just a couple of examples. So, we've done fantasy, thrillers, lots of children's books, lots of memoirs, textbooks, craft and hobby books, poetry books. Really, with genre-wise, the sky's the limit with self-publishing. Um, and if you're working with a service provider who focuses on a specific genre, that's okay. Just make sure you get that information up front and make sure that you're not getting into serious conversations when you've written a children's book and they only do nonfiction or things like that. But just a few examples of our some of our covers and some of the genres we've worked on in the past. And I should really update this because this is old. We've got some great new covers. So go check out the bookstore so you can see the covers. One thing I will just PSA about FriesenPress here is our goal with our book cover designers is to not have your book look self-published. We love being able to see one of our book covers on a shelf beside a trad book and you can't tell the difference. That is our favorite thing. Again, at the end of the day, it's self-publishing. So if you prefer a different cover, you get to do the cover you want. But our goal is to always to provide options that will make your book look very much like it fits in on a Barnes and Noble or Chapters Indigo shelf. So yeah. So I'm coming up to the end. I actually got through this really quick. I didn't do as much chit-chatting as I normally do. So I will just say, as we kind of start questions, I am offering everyone at WIP a discount on a manuscript evaluation. You can use that QR code. I also believe Joy is going to pop out the link with the replay, but I'll also just pop it into the chat for you guys as well. A manuscript evaluation is the first step. Once you have your finished version, a manuscript evaluation is such a great tool to use regardless of what publishing avenue you're going to take. If you're going the DIY route, it's great to give you recommendations and support with, identifying plot holes or character development or things like that. If you're going traditional, if your goal is traditional, it can help you get it to a place, give you suggestions to get it to a place where it might be in a better place to query agents. And of course, if you're choosing to work with a service provider and you get your evaluation, decide to move forward with us, it's going to tell you exactly what kind of editing we recommend based off of where your book is. So it gives you guides to the next step. And we read every single book. We do not work on a book if we have not read it. And I know some service providers, I'm not sure that that's the same route. That could have shifted, but for a while there, we were one of the only ones that read every single title. So making sure that you're having an editor read your book before just offering you editing is essential to know what kind of editing is going to be most beneficial for that book. So if you scan that QR code or use that link, it just comes to my email. I will make a note about the offer for you and I'll have one of my consultants reach out to you to say, hey, thanks for, thanks for being in attendance at WIP. Let me know when you're ready and we can get rolling. So it doesn't expire either. So if you haven't even finished yet and you're 6 months out or you're 8 months out, you can still fill that out. I'll still make sure that I note the discount for you. And when we reach out, you can just say, hey, I'll be ready in 6 months. Let's connect then. And then that's what we'll do. We'll follow your lead on that. But like I said, it doesn't expire. So your information will just come to my email and I'll have someone from my team reach out. And yeah, so I will pop back to that too, but in case anyone wanted to take down my contact information, my email address is there. So if you have any questions following and you want to reach out with them, pop me an email. Email is better than phone. You can definitely call me, but I will my email turnaround is much faster than my voicemail turnaround. But ljanzen@friesenpress.com. Come find me, ask me questions. I'm sure Joy can include that in the post, in the replay link as well. So let's dive into some of these questions. Marketing is the downfall of self-publishing. Can you expand? So, oh, you're so welcome, Shelley. Let me know if you have more questions. Um, I don't think that it's the downfall of self-publishing. I think that lots of authors see publication as the end of their journey when it's actually just the beginning. And so that can be going in with that mindset, going in with the mindset of, okay, I've published, so I'm done now, is going to be a very big shock to authors who are self-publishing because that's not the end. You're not done now. You are just starting. Now is the time that you have to start getting out there, putting your feet to the pavement or your fingers to the keyboard. Like that's the time when it really starts. And so it can be the downfall for self-publishing authors if they're not marketing and promoting their book. And I will say, in my experience, talking to lots of traditionally published authors, a lot of the marketing and promotions for traditionally published authors also fall to the author. So, regardless of what route you're choosing to go, if your goal is to sell lots of copies and get out there and be visible, you have to be prepared to put in that work. And if you're not, that could be your downfall. So I don't think that it's the downfall to self-publishing. I think that it can be the downfall for individual self-publishing authors, um, if that mindset isn't already there going into the process, if that makes sense. If you have a follow-up, just let me know. Hi, Nina. Uh, an image. Should I upload that for the cover? Yes. Okay. So, well, first of all, Nina, welcome to FriesenPress. I'm so glad you decided to work with us. Nina says here that she's signed up to work with FriesenPress just last week. So that is very exciting. So welcome. Yes, inspiration images or images you wish to have included in the cover if the resolution is high enough. You can upload that to your platform, your file manager. And when you start working with your publishing specialist, you just let them know that it's there and you'd like it included for the cover designer to either include in the cover if it's possible or to use as inspiration. Absolutely, you can. And welcome, Nina. It's very nice to meet you on here. But yes, reference images, inspiration, that is all things we love. When we create designs, illustrations, cover art, we want to make sure we're getting as close to um, hitting the mark as possible. So if you have a specific vision already, it's important for us to know what that is. If you don't, that's okay too. We'll get all the information we can, and then we will do our best to hit the mark and send you some options to start. But yeah, inspiration throughout the whole process. If you have that stuff, you just talk to your publishing specialist, and they'll make sure that it's sent off with the work. You're welcome, Nina. How much is a manuscript evaluation without a discount? Great question. So our manuscript evaluations are based off of word count. The starting price is $499. That's a manuscript of up to 50,000 words. So if your manuscript is 50,000 or less, it's $499 minus the 150, so that's 350. 350. Then depending what your word count is, if you have 100, if your manuscript's 90,000, we just look at there's a couple of tiers to just adjust the price. Up to 90,000, I believe, is $599. So it would be $599 minus the 150. Don't quote me on that. I don't have it all in front of me, but I think that's what it is. So it's based, like I said, it's based off your word count, but the starting is $499, and most manuscripts we work on fall into that $499 category. So whatever your word count is, whatever the price is, you'll get $150 off of it. Damon, or I hope I'm saying that right, Damon or Daman, I'm not sure. So I apologize if I am saying it incorrectly. How can book marketers best support independent authors? If you are paying for someone to market your book for you. So if you're paying for a PR company or an author assistant, or you have a specific book marketing company that you're working with, um, that it's kind of a subjective question because it's going to depend a little bit on what your goals are and where you want, not the finish line, we're never finished, but what you see as kind of that finish line for you as an author. So everyone's marketing plan might look a little bit different. Everyone's marketing support might look a little bit different. And so I think the best starting place for somebody who's going to be marketing your book for you is to make sure that they're covering all of the bases with you about your goals. Making sure that any plans that they've put into place directly relate to what your goals are. Um, and I guess on the flip side of that, because you just kind of had said book marketers. So that would be if you're paying someone to do it for you, you just want to make sure that you're very clear about your goals, very clear about what you're capable of versus what you need them to do for you, and making sure any steps that they're taking are angling you towards those goals. If you're working, with a service provider who has um, a marketing and promotional team, um, the best thing we can do, what we do, and what we really want to empower our authors to do is to be able to coach you, to give you the tools you need to be able to long-term market yourself. So like I said, whether that means helping you set up your social media platform and then coaching you on how to maintain it, how to update it, things like that. And really giving authors the empowerment to do that themselves. So it really depends, I guess, if you're looking for coaching and support versus just paying someone to do it for you. Um, but the most valuable support they can give you is making sure everything they're doing is geared towards what your goals are. I hope that that answered that question. Shelley, can you explain what the editor's manuscript evaluation does? Yes, so um, an editor's manuscript evaluation. We would do that at the point where, yes, you're done your first draft. You're at a point where you've gone through it 100 times, probably, maybe 200, and you're at a place where you can't do anything else with it. You need to know what's next. So we have an editor read your book in full. So your whole book gets read in its entirety. And then we provide a PDF document that will outline um, quite a few things. So it'll cover, go through brief summary to make sure we understood, make sure that whatever the plot or point of your book is comes across clear to the reader. So we'll do a summary. We will give suggestions for metadata. So we will give BISAC code recommendations, search keyword recommendations, um, which is a really useful tool. It's a really great starting point because lots of authors don't know the first thing about where to look for metadata stuff. So our editors will, provide those recommendations. They will go through the strengths of your book. So they'll list all of the things that they think you did really well. And then they'll go through potential areas of improvement. And what they'll typically do is they'll divide that into contextual and mechanical areas of improvement. So the editor will take examples from your book. So this isn't just like, oh, we would recommend you do this we will take examples from your book, put it into the document, and show you, okay, if I were to edit it with the level of editing I'm recommending, this is what it would look like. So if they're recommending a developmental edit or a contextual edit, that might mean that they highlight some parts and they've left, more of a holistic, comment-based piece for your revision. If it's mechanical, that could mean you just seeing the track changes right in the document. So examples right from your book on on what it would look like if you follow the editing recommendation that they're giving you. And then at the end, they go through that editing recommendation. So whatever type of edit they're recommending, they're going to say, okay, I recommend this level of editing and it will accomplish XYZ, like I showed you above. And then, sometimes one round of editing is recommended, depending how much work you had done before. If it already had been professionally edited, sometimes I get proofread recommendations. It really depends. Everyone's is different, but and so it might say this is the level of editing I recommend. I'd love to help you, and it gives you that information. It could say I would recommend we do this to get all of these developmental pieces organized, and then we should also do a mechanical edit. So they're going to do all of that for you. Typically, the document is 5 to 6 pages long. So it's usually a pretty big document. And like I said, because you're seeing examples from your actual book, it's a great tool regardless what publishing avenue you decide to pursue. And it's going to give you clear, okay, this is where your manuscript is at right now. If you choose me to edit, this is what it'll look like. So this is your next step. So yeah, let me know if that answered all of those questions, Shelley. And Elizabeth, is this the same? We are that FriesenPress. You betcha. So FriesenPress, yes, we are. I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, folks. So we are in Canada. FriesenPress specifically, we're part of Friesen's Corporation. So Friesen's Corporation is based in Altona, Manitoba, and we have book reps throughout Canada and the United States. FriesenPress, we're part of Friesen's Corporation, and our immediate in-house staff are all located in Canada. But as I mentioned earlier, we have been supporting US authors for 15 plus years, and we make sure that we have options for printing on both sides of the border so that both our Canadian and US authors get the most out of working with us. But yes, we are one and the same. There is only one FriesenPress, I hope. If you know of another one, you let me know. But we are the one that you're talking about there. You betcha.
Leanne,
Yeah.
this has been fantastic. As an indie author who's done mostly the DIY route, like this would be amazing to have you guys as a person to come alongside. That is huge. And the editing evaluation, goodness, the keywords and the BISAC codes, hello.
Metadata
Wow.
is one of the biggest things that can get lost with an author because it's like, oh, I did all of this work. I got everything ready. I'm going to upload my book. What the heck is a BISAC code? But right? So you kind of get those recommendations right up front, which is really nice. It also makes it easy for your production team to know like those BISAC codes, those search keywords, those can help influence cover design. Those can help influence, the font that's used inside the book. So it's really great information to be able to have right from the beginning. Um, and yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like? Oh, we've got a little question in the chat here from
Uh,
Sherry.
yeah, Sherry. So for formatting, so we have different level paths that are kind of a starting point. And each one of those paths has a predetermined amount of time for layout. What we look at when we're looking for layout is we're looking for word count and images and any other complexities. So if you've written a book that's, 50,000 words and you got 20 pictures, you're golden with, our launch path there. If you have a book that's 120,000 words and 50 images, but you also have graphs that are either additional images or you need our design team to recreate them for you. So we would look at that. We'd look at all of that together. We'd actually have a designer take a peek at it if it's more on the complex side. and say, okay, I need this much time to do these things. But the main things we look at to start are word count and images. So yeah, it's just on what's on the inside of the book there. Hi, Elizabeth. I didn't give a price level, different levels of prices, but and we're starting to run out of time, but I will say all of our path prices, we try to be as transparent as possible. All of our path prices, as a starting base point, are on our website. You can see what's included in each path and what that price point is. We also have the ability to, if you come in and you go, oh, I'm looking at this path, but I don't want this or this or this or this, we can say, okay, let's create something a little bit more custom. We can go to the lower path that doesn't have these things and we can create something more custom. Our paths range. So we have specific paths for books, novels versus children's paths. So lots of things are taken into consideration with each of the paths, rounds of editing, if you need illustrations, if you don't, if it's a kid's book, all those things. But our paths range from $2,200 all the way to $15,000. So depending how much, if you need 3 rounds of editing and your word count's 100K and you want a website and you want social media content planning and you want a professional review and you want all of those things, you're going to look at spending a little bit more. If you're coming in and you're like, I've already had it professionally edited. I already have a cover I like. I need the layout and I need the distribution support and things like that. We're looking more towards the lower end of that. So it depends on what you've done, what you haven't done, and what your wants and needs are. But there's a big range there. So that's why it's really important to talk to a consultant so we can learn everything about it. Um, Large font print jobs. Um, I mean, can you elaborate? So we've done books with larger fonts for we've had requests for books that be done, maybe at a 14-point font in a novel, because the book is geared more towards, the older generation who's going to be reading it and they're going to have magnifiers on and things like that. Our kids' books also, the fonts are typically larger there as well. So is that what you mean, or am I missing the direct question? I'll give you a sec to answer that. And then Linda, oh, that's what you meant. Perfect, Elizabeth. Yes, so absolutely. If you get to actually fill out a design questionnaire with your publishing specialist for the designer. And if you have a request for large font, you can put that right in there. And yeah, and then if you get it back and you go, ooh, not quite big enough, you can, in your revision round, you can ask them to make it a little bit bigger too. So absolutely, you can definitely work with the team on that. And then Linda, we do work with authors in the UK. You betcha. All of our authors that are outside of Canada are charged in USD, so I'd keep that in mind. But we've definitely published authors that are in the UK before. And I was in Scotland just a couple of years ago, and I went to is it Waterstones? Is that what is it Waterstones? The bookstore in the UK?
That sounds right, but
Sounds right, but now I feel bad. Waterstones or what? I think it's Waterstones. Anyways, I went in there and I actually found a bunch of FriesenPress books in one of them, which was really exciting when I was in Scotland. Um, so yeah, you betcha. You can just come on over and talk to us. And absolutely, our one of our distribution models is global, so UK distribution's included in that global. Correct, Elizabeth. We charge Canadian authors in Canadian, and anyone outside of Canada is charged in USD. You betcha.
um, all right, I'm going to share two links just very quickly as we wrap up. The first one, I'll explain why I shared that in a second. But the second one is this will take you right to the link that she's sharing, it's just our like link to go to the same place. So you guys can click on that and go and learn more about FriesenPress. You can get information about that editor's manuscript evaluation and the discount on it and all of the things. And the first link is for WIP Society. So this is our membership community. And the reason I'm mentioning it is on May 7th, Leanne will be with us for a guest expert Q&A that is specifically for our membership community. And what I love about these is this is face to face. This is you are literally one on one with Leanne. You can ask her any question you want. And we do these with our sponsors because our sponsors are just so they're just such a wealth of information. So you can come and ask her questions about like each of these aspects, all of the things that you guys have been asking today. But if you have more in-depth questions, she is a great person to ask. So that will be May 7th at 1 o'clock. And again, that's for our society members. So if you haven't joined, that's the link to do it. And definitely check out their link as well for FriesenPress.
Yeah, please do. And if you have any questions, um, feel free to email me. Use the QR code. If you want to use the QR code, but you have questions first, email me. I'll answer your questions and then re-give you the link. Me and my team are here to answer questions, and any conversations with us are non-obligatory. You can have conversations with us and there's no obligation to choose us. We want to make sure you have all the information you need.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Leanne. And thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.